Spoiler alert. I'll leave out the biggest details, but if you don't want to know anything about the game the character is from, I recommend you to skip some parts.
Audio Jungle.
Female characters have always been portrayed as relatively weak in video games. They're often used in a damsel in distress kind of plot, or just pushed to the background altogether, while the story stays focused on the protagonist. However, over the last couple of years they kept getting better and better, and therefore I made my top 10 female characters in video games. But before I start, you must know that this list is purely opinion based, and these are only characters from games I've played. In fact, I've made a short list of games that I haven't played yet, so the characters from those games are not included. Alright, let's start the list. Number 10. MILEENA from Mortal Kombat.
Let us dance!
What do you think? Friend or foe?
Foe.
Dressed like that?
Definitely foe.
MILEENA is an over-sexualized character. Usually that is a bad thing, but in this case it works. Mainly because they gave her a hideous demonic face which is both disturbing as it is funny. MILEENA is a clone of the Princess Kitana, but unlike Kitana she is vicious and evil. She wants to kill Kitana and take her place as princess, which is actually a pretty interesting backstory for fighting game standards. How does she try to accomplish this? By brutally murdering anyone who stands in the way, of course. It makes her one of the most bloodthirsty females in video games. One really hot bloodthirsty female.
MILEENA wins. Fatality.
Number 9. Clementine from The Walking Dead.
Okay.
It'll be okay.
Rarely was I as emotionally attached to a video game character as I was to Clementine. Found with no parents in a dangerous world full of zombies and hostile groups of people, you quickly become a father figure and feel responsible for her well-being.
Aim lower.
I got it!
Excellent. Good shot.
In The Walking Dead, you play as Ellie and you make decisions that influence the game's storyline. Are you a kind man? An angry man? Do you quickly kill people or try to have some sense of morality? A lot of times there is no right decision. In the heat of the moment you make a decision, needing to accept the consequences.
I don't want to be one of them. They're satanic.
We can't let you do that to yourself.
Sometimes I felt very sorry for a decision I made, while at other moments I felt proud for doing the right thing. Because of these decisions, you feel so much more emotionally attached to the characters. You start to really care about some characters, while you feel nothing but hate for others. But I digress. Clementine is a weak and innocent young girl, unaware of all the dangers in the world. But the longer she stays with you, the stronger she becomes. It's up to you to decide just how far she has to go. Does she join you on a dangerous mission, or does she stay alone at a safe place? Do you teach her it's wrong to kill people or that she has to do it to survive? Clementine is the youngest female character on this list, and for as far as I've played, the only memorable child character in any video game.
It smells funny in here. Like shit, right, Lee?
Number 8. Farah from Prince of Persia: Sands of Time and the Two Thrones. The Prince of Persia games are some of my personal favorites. Prince and Farah is the love story that never happened and at the same time did happen. We see Farah, the Princess of India, in two different realities during the Prince of Persia trilogy. In the Sands of Time, she and the Prince are the only survivors of the release of the Sands of Time, and they have to work together in order to save the Empire. At first, they can get along very well, but later on they start to have romance. Or do they? Even though she fell in love with the prince, Farah thought it was better to continue the journey on her own, so she stole the dagger and took it to the hourglass, dying in the process. Years later in the Two Thrones, after the prince reversed time and saved the empire, Farah found herself and the prince side by side again, this time in order to defeat the vizier who has taken over Babylon and killed Farah's father. The prince still has feelings for her, even knowing their entire romance never really happened.
7 years and still nothing's changed.
7 years? What are you talking about?
It's a figure of speech.
Storyline aside, Farah is a strong woman and a skilled fighter. Never afraid of danger, always thinking through, standing up for herself and for the people, and at a certain point we even get to see her kind and unserious side.
What is your favorite color?
Color?
Shall I repeat the question?
Blue. Blue? That's not my favorite color.
Number 7. Dahlia from Phoenix Wright, Trials and Tribulations. Don't let her cute and innocent appearance misguide you. Dahlia is, in her own way, probably one of the most overlooked and heartless female villains in video game history, or underrated characters in general. Explaining why she is such a dark villain is impossible without spoiling the plot of pretty much the entire game, so I try to make it as spoiler-free as possible. In the beginning, she looks like an innocent girl that has all the men eating out of the palm of her hand. Even the protagonist, Phoenix Wright. But you can sense something is not right. From that point on, it's literally one dark reveal after the other. Each reveal makes you hate her more, and you feel sorry for all the people involved in her life. Unlike the first two Phoenix Wright games where each chapter had a different villain, this villain actually shows up in most of the chapters and is considered the main villain of the game. She manipulates people in order to achieve what she wants, which is mostly revenge. All of the things she has done resolve in one of the biggest climaxes in all of the Phoenix Wright series, and to be honest, Chapter 5 of Trials and Tribulations is one of my favorite chapters from anything I've ever seen. The one mind-blowing reveal after the other mind-blowing reveal. How every loose end is tied together, it's emotional, it's epic, and I was at the edge of my seat until the end credits started. All I have left to say, it's a great character from one of my favorite games. If you're interested in Phoenix Wright but never took the time to play it, I say check out Ace Attorney. You won't be disappointed. Number 6. Elizabeth from BioShock Infinite.
Elizabeth!
Hello! Oh, this is wonderful! Oh, come dance with me, Mr. Twin.
I don't dance. Come on, let's go.
Why? What could be better than this?
Just where do I begin? Elizabeth is kind, innocent, strong, funny, pretty, full of life, the character that rescues you when you're in danger, the character that you want to rescue when she's in danger. Elizabeth is a lovely character in every way. With Elizabeth, it just kinda works from the start. The build-up before you meet her is excellent, and when you do meet her, you see a kind girl that is full of life. It surprised me in a good way.
Hello. Hey! Knock it off!
The reason why she is not higher on the list is because of two small downsides of the game that have to do with Elizabeth. When I say Elizabeth is a great character, I mostly refer to the first couple of hours, and especially the last couple of hours. But in between these moments, nothing really remarkable happens. Second, sometimes Elizabeth tells a story without any form of emotion in her face. Her lips move while she just has the same bland expression on her face throughout the entire speech. If she is telling something, I want to see from her face that she feels happy or sad or something at least. BioShock Infinite is a game so full of tiny details, but this is one detail I would have loved to see more. The ending of BioShock 3, although I didn't understand and therefore didn't enjoy it at first, ended up being one of the greatest endings I've seen in a video game. What didn't make any sense at first suddenly became a genius way of telling what happened in the past and what will happen in the future. They reveal the backstory of Elizabeth, and you also get to know more about the protagonist. This ends up in one big, complex, emotional twist and shows you just what someone can do in order to save the one he or she loves. Number 5. Madison Paige from Heavy Rain.
I go in, I make him talk to the gun, and I get out of there before I get into big trouble.
Madison is without a doubt one of the bravest women I have ever seen in a video game. Heavy Rain is not a bombastic action game, not a war game, she's not fighting evil monsters or going to dangerous fantasy places. Instead, it's a very realistic story-based game that focuses itself on the search of a child murderer. The story adjusts itself on the way you play the game and the choices you make. It makes the situation she ends up in all the more scary because if you die, she will be dead for the rest of the game. At first you don't know who she is and just what she has to do with the actual story of the game, but eventually her path crosses with other characters of the game and her backstory is revealed. You learn that she is a very kind woman that wants to help the ones in need and is prepared to do some dangerous things in order to do that. I won't spoil it for you if you haven't played the game, and if you're thinking about playing the game, please don't look the story up on the internet. Just buy the game and let it be a surprise. Number 4. Elena Fisher from the Uncharted trilogy.
You haven't got much time.
The Uncharted games are some of my personal favorite games. I can play these games over and over, watch the cutscenes over and over, and just never get bored of it. One of the things that make them great games is the narrative. There is constant narrative. The narrative varies between cutscenes, in-game actions, and dialogue. The characters react to everything that happens, and there is always something going on. This makes the characters feel much more alive and likely. Therefore, Elena Fisher, the love interest of the protagonist Nathan Drake, is a great character. You know who she is, why she is here, and she constantly reacts to things that happen. She is a very strong and independent woman, but still has her limits and is able to stand up for herself. She isn't afraid of danger, but knows when to stop. She even gets a laugh out of you every now and then.
Oh, Elena Fisher. Last year's model.
That's cute.
My favorite moment with Elena is without a doubt the scene in Drake's Deception where Nate returns after being kidnapped by pirates. It's a relatively quiet scene where she comforts him when he is in a bad state. And that's all that happens. Between all the action sequences these games have, just a moment of silence together.
I'm sorry.
I know.
Number 3. Ellie from The Last of Us.
Any sudden moves and I put one right between your eyes. Ditto for buddy boy over there.
Rarely did I care as much about a character as I did about Ellie. This is because of the great character development from both the protagonist Joel and from Ellie. These two both have their different backgrounds and different personalities that match perfectly together. Joel was a single father who lost his daughter in the very first day the infection broke out. Scarred by this loss, he became an angry, uncaring person that did whatever brutal thing was necessary to survive, having no sense of morality left. Ellie is a girl who is raised in a world where modern standards and values have deteriorated, with little to no knowledge of the world before the infection. This made her a strong girl that is not afraid to use violence in order to achieve her goals. However, she still has innocence and kindness to her, still able to trust others and care about them, and has a big curiosity about how the world was before the plague, which leads to some funny, emotional, or just interesting dialogue. It's those tiny details that make the characters feel so much more alive.
Is this really all they had to worry about? Boys? Movies? Deciding which shirt goes with which skirt? It's bizarre.
Joel slowly starts caring about Ellie as a father figure. He needs her, she needs him, not just in order to survive, but to have someone to care about. This leads to some intense moments for both of them and the people they meet along their journey. The Last of Us has an interesting ending that shows some remarkable character traits of both Ellie and Joel. In fact, the ending is one of the reasons Ellie was put on the number 3 spot. I won't spoil it if you haven't played it. All I can say about it is that I hope this ain't the last we see from The Last of Us.
Light on the reading, but it's got some interesting photos.
Now, Ellie, that ain't for kids.
Whoa! How the hell would he even walk around with that thing?
Get rid of that.
Well, hold your horses. I want to see what all the fuss is about.
Number 2. Lara Croft from the most recent Tomb Raider. This is a character that has it all. The character development, the looks, full of likability, and Tomb Raider is, after Metroid Prime, one of the longest running game series with a female protagonist. I have to admit I never really played any of the older Tomb Raider games, but the new one is just so good that Lara Croft deserves the number 2 spot.
We'll be heading your way soon. Out.
Lara Croft, you are my hero!
The way she has been portrayed in Tomb Raider is an example to all the female protagonists in video games, or protagonists in general. She starts off as just any normal young woman. Just any young woman who searched for adventure but by accident came across an island full of bad guys. Unable to escape, she needed to survive. We see her going through the one horrible situation after the other, horrified by some of the things she has to do to survive, but she gets stronger and stronger with each step she takes and slowly becomes a fearless action heroine. This kind of character development makes her so likable, so alive. You feel both really sorry for her as well as wanting her to keep strong and get through each situation. The 2013 Tomb Raider game is a fantastic game, and I hope to see more of Tomb Raider in the future, as well as more female protagonists with character development of the same level. Now I know what you're thinking. What character that isn't on the list of games I haven't played could possibly top Lara Croft? It's actually a character from a recent game, and she is the number one. Number 1. JODIE Holmes from Beyond Two Souls.
I was born with a strange gift. The ability to see what no human being has ever seen before.
JODIE is probably the best written, the strongest, and most well-developed female character I've ever seen in a video game. Like Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls is a story-based game that adjusts itself on the way you play it. Unlike Heavy Rain, the entire game focuses itself on one protagonist. This game literally dives in the life of JODIE Holmes, a girl with a unique gift.
Tell him what to do, and it happens.
I don't tell Aiden what to do. No one does. He's like a lion in a cage. We're tied together. He can't go away.
We see her childhood, we see her as a teenager, how she is as an adult, all the things she's been through, and just what influence it had on her. It doesn't take long before you're completely immersed in the game's storyline.
JODIE, what have you done?
When JODIE's angry, you're angry. When JODIE's happy, you're happy. When JODIE's sad, you're sad. She doesn't want this gift, but is forced to live with it, slowly building up to intense moments. Beyond Two Souls is truly an emotional roller coaster of a story experience. If you like story-based games, this is one you just simply can't ignore. A fantastic game with a fantastic protagonist who deserves the number 1 spot. So that was my list of greatest female characters in video games. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.